If you clicked on this video, it's because you're like me. Poor. Hi, I'm Kyla. I have a BA in game design, and I like to play lots of different games. But mostly I find myself sticking to games I've already purchased just because I can't afford new ones, or I just play hours and hours of Valorant because it's free. At least it's free until I buy skins because I have no self-control. So if you're a peasant like me, don't worry. These are my top 5 free games that you can play right now. Also, keep in mind that these are all games made by indie developers or really small teams, and I'm sure it'd mean a lot to them if people started going to their games and playing them and leaving nice comments. So if you like any of the games of this list, be sure to check them out and say something nice to the developers. I know it would make their day. The first games I've decided to talk about are Dead Horizon and Dead Horizon Origin. It feels and plays like what you wanted those old arcade shootout scenes to be, except you really feel like a cowgirl facing a duel at high noon. While the first game plays more like a visual novel with one really cool mechanic, it looks like the second installment in the series will feature a more immersive story alongside some more advanced shooting mechanics and environments. Now, I'm unsure if the full game will be free on release, and honestly I hope it's not. This game is way too beautiful to justify it being free, but the demo is available to play now on itch.io, as well as Dead Horizon Origin being available on Steam, and I highly recommend you pick both of them up because they're really fun games and I had a really fun time playing them. The second game on my list is Die in the Dungeon. Now, this game is super cute. It feels like the cozy version of a dungeon crawler, if that makes sense. Die in the Dungeon is a turn-based game that uses dice to determine action type and the amount of points dealt. The music on both the start menu and throughout the game is really cute. I liked that as the game went on, it felt like a really natural progression of difficulty, and it still felt like I had a bit of a sense of adventure wandering through this big cavernous cave. Cavernous cave. Wow, I really did well on that one, didn't I? Well, as the game goes on, it can feel a little repetitive. It's important to keep in mind that this is also a demo for a longer game, as noted by the developers, but I don't think that disregards this as a fun game to play when you're just kind of looking for something a little bit more casual with still that sense of urgency. The third game on my list is called Mole. Now, Mole reminds me a lot of that old phone game Bike Race, where you would be trying to go through the course as fast as possible. The only control key is a spacebar, and the tapping movement can be really satisfying as you try to race through the levels quickly. I felt that the game had a good pace and difficulty when moving through the levels, and overall, it's a good game for killing time. I'd play it when you're sitting around in a Discord call waiting for your friends to get on. Although, now that Discord has that activity feature, playing games outside of Discord while waiting is probably going to be a thing of the past soon. No, I'm not saying that because I spend all my time in Sketchheads doodling by myself. That being said, the game is kind of short, so don't expect to have a whole bunch to do in this game, but I think the levels are challenging enough that it just serves its purpose as a fun little game to play. Think Flappy Bird if it had more to it, but not quite enough to be an Angry Birds kind of game. Number 4 is Escape Chasm and Dweller's Empty Path. Yes, this is another 2-for-1 game. These games are tied together through thematics and their story, with Escape Chasm being the first in the series and Dweller's Empty Path coming second. Since the games are both story-centric, I feel that explaining the plot too much would definitely ruin the games for you, so if you take a scroll through the credits, you're gonna find some very familiar names that correlate with a very popular and undying game featuring a very popular meme skeleton. If you loved Undertale and Deltarune, consider these games to be like a cousin. The charm and weirdness that is so beloved in Undertale can also be seen throughout these two games. The art and art style are done incredibly well, and of course the music is phenomenal. Overall, they're very good games to wind you down a bit when you finally completed your 7th genocide run in Undertale and just need a way to unwind. The honorable mention of this list is called Adventures with Anxiety. If you have anxiety, this game's honestly really funny. I laughed out loud while playing this game a bunch of times, and it's a really short 30-minute game that talks about mental health in a very fun way. So I highly recommend just checking it out. It's a really fun game. Now, last and certainly not least is How We Know We're Alive. Now, this game is beautiful. Just check out the reflections and lighting on this game, and that's not all this game has to offer. As another story-rich game, of course, I won't be getting too deep into the details, but I want to highlight that this game has won 2 Swedish Gaming Awards. One for Best Execution in Art, and the other for Best Execution in Narrative. It's honestly so atmospheric and hits home for me as someone who lives in a fairly small and very conservative town. Now, I can't get away with talking about this game without mentioning that I really do have a soft spot for pixel games, but don't let the simple graphics fool you. This game has so much going on beneath its surface. As if my soft spot for pixel games was not very obvious by the fact that there are 4 games that are all pixel graphics on this list. And with that, that is my top 5 indie games that I have found in 2023. Now, I know some of these games are actually now demos for other games, while others have been out for a while, but I feel like this is a really good way to ease yourself into the indie game environment. And I hope that you go and play and enjoy these games. They're really fun, and I think lots of people tend to gravitate just towards the big indie hits rather than try to seek out something new. And it's important to remember that these are people that do make these games completely on their own or in very small teams. So they really appreciate when you reach out and say hi and say you liked their game. So if you think game testing might be up your alley, I recommend searching on Reddit or even signing up for full-blown real AAA testing through companies such as Ubisoft. It's a really cool way to just get to try and play games and be part of the game development process. I've been a game tester myself for indie games, and it's kind of cool because a lot of the time they also give you a free Steam key to the game, which means as they update the game, you have a free copy of that game. And hey, it's a good way to maybe even make some money if you continue down that path. If you'd like to see more of my content, you can go ahead and click one of these videos here. Or if you want to see more of my future content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. I'm Purple Sark, and I'm signing off.